Wednesday, July 24th, 2019, Maneco 64, home of alternative economics and contrarian views. Henry Ford said the following once, and I quote him, "It is well enough that people of the nation do not understand our banking and monetary system, for if they did, I believe there would be a revolution before tomorrow morning." Today, believe it or not, I want to talk a book that could do this. Unfortunately, it's a book that's not taught widely, even in schools or universities. It could be taught in high schools, universities, definitely. And it's a book by Murray Rothbard, which I've spoken about many times, but I keep coming back to it because I think it's very important. As I get new viewers, new subscribers, and just as a refresher. And it's this book here, What Has Government Done to Our Money? And the Case for a 100% Gold Dollar by Murray and Rothbard. Murray Rothbard was an Austrian school economist. The Austrian school is kind of the opposite of the Keynesian school. The Austrian school believes in small government, sound money, and the rule of law, and free markets. I'll go to the Mises.org website, which is the website for the Mises Institute, which is the main institute for the Austrian School of Economics in the US. They're based in Auburn, Alabama. And this is what they say about what has government done to our money. And I'll read. When this gem first appeared in 1963, it took the form of a small paperback designed for mass distribution. Innumerable economists, investors, commentators, and authors have learned from this book through the decades. After 50 years, it remains the best book in print on the topic, a real manifesto of sound money. Rothbard boils down the Austrian theory to its essentials. The book also made huge theoretical advances. Rothbard was the first to prove that the government, and only the government, can destroy money on a mass scale. And he showed exactly how they go about this dirty deed. But just as importantly, it is beautifully written. He tells a thrilling story because he loves the subject so much. The passion that Murray feels for the topic comes through in the prose and transfers to the reader. Readers become excited about the subject and tell others. Students tell professors. Some, like the great Ron Paul of Texas, have even run for political office after having read it. Rothbard shows precisely how banks create money out of thin air and how the central bank, backed by government power, allows them to get away with it. You might ask, well, central banks are independent. Well, they're not. They're created by legislation. They become a monopoly. So they're not really independent from government and politicians. He shows how exchange rates and interest rates would work in a true free market. When it comes to describing the end of the gold standard, he's not content to describe the big trends. He names and ferrets out all the interest groups involved. Since Rothbard's death, scholars have worked to assess his legacy, and many of them agree that this little book is one of the most important. Though it has sometimes been inauspiciously packaged and is surprisingly short, its argument took huge strides toward explaining that it is impossible to understand public affairs in our time without understanding money and its destruction. So, yeah, as I've said many times, I highly recommend this book. I think it could be taught in high school. No reason why it shouldn't. So yeah, I highly recommend Murray Rothbard's book. Very easy to read. He starts from the beginning. He talks about how societies advanced, started exchanging things through barter, and how it led to indirect exchange, or the concept of money, right? All the way to the end where he puts the case for a 100% gold system, which is what the Constitution says it should be, gold and silver, right? Just before I quickly look at the markets, just want to say that I do have end of Fed mugs, end of Fed t-shirts in the Maneco 64 Teespring store below. I've also started recently a campaign to retire the old lady of Threadneedle Street and shut the bank down, which is the equivalent of end of Fed for the Bank of England. So have a look through those products. There's some other products as well in my Teespring store. It helps keep the channel going. Thanks for all of those who have bought some merchandise there. So the markets. It's just gone past 8 a.m. London. We've got spot gold, 1421.30. It's up just under $4. Range has been 1416 to 1423. Yesterday, gold did rally up to 1430, but drifted lower towards the end of the day. Silver is doing very well here again. It's up 0.2% at 1650, or up 11 cents, while gold is up only 0.25%. The high's been 1657, the low 1631. Stock markets rallied yesterday. We had more news about the trade negotiations. It seems to me that every time they need the market to rally, they come out with something about the trade negotiations. The American delegation is going to visit the Chinese delegation towards the end of this month. I think it's Mnuchin, Secretary of the Treasury, and Robert Lighthizer, a trade negotiator. They're going to meet their Chinese counterparts. But if you remember well, last year we were told that there would be a trade deal by March this year, and here we are almost August and nothing. So this morning the Dow is down 23 points, the Dow future, 27,323. S&P is just above 3,000, down about 3.25 points, 3,187. NASDAQ 100 future is down 0.2% at 79.36. Dollar rallied yesterday quite strongly against the pound, the euro, and the yen. So it's a good day for the dollar. Tomorrow we have the ECB meeting, which will be key as well for the foreign exchange market, in my opinion. There's a lot of expectation that the ECB could announce more QE or even cut rates into further negative territory. Right now, the euro is unchanged, 111.50. The dollar is down 0.1% against the yen at 108.09. And the dollar is virtually unchanged against the Chinese yuan at 688.12. Oil is stronger. WTI is up 0.5% at 57.08. Brent is up just under 0.5% at $64. The bond market, the 10-year yield, has crept up in the last few days. It's around 207 right now, the 10-year yield. The 3-month is at 211. So the curve is still inverted there by 4 basis points. So I remember when I was in high school, I went to the American school in Rio, Brazil, and we had an economics class. And I remember the teacher very well. I think it was Mrs. Fowler. That was her name. And I knew her well because her husband used to play golf where I played golf. And one of the classes, we were talking about money. And for some reason, she said, it's very difficult to define what money really is. But I wish she had told us to read this book, What Has Government Done to Our Money? The Case for 100% Gold by Murray and Rothbard. If I had learned then what I know now about this book, it would have been quite eye-opening for me. But unfortunately, she didn't. So that's why, if you can, if you're really young as well, it doesn't really matter if you're young, old, you should read this book if you really want to know how things work in the monetary system. I know economists, bankers, politicians, academics, they make it seem really complicated. They use really arcane terminology, but it's really simple once you read this book and really Mr. Rothbard makes it easy for anyone to understand what money is, and it isn't hard, really. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet. Don't forget to share this video far and wide. It helps to get more viewers, to get the message across, to make the videos more viral. And you can also follow me on Twitter, Steemit, and on DTube. I wish you all a great day. Take care. Bye.